Hello, guys. Good morning. Um, I wanted to come on and talk a little about this podcast that I've been watching. The podcast specifically is about why do men leave church? Okay. And I think something was inferenced that is very important. And some of you asked the question, and Mr. Reed, this is a podcast, and uh, about the REIT. I understand that. But Mr. Reed's job, first of all, is to draw people to God. That was my first initiative in any success, because if I'm not drawing people to God, then I'm not doing what He gifted me to do. Right? I'm not a preacher, but I have a gift of drawing people to God and helping them manage their relationship, help them manage themselves, and help them qualify who they are in situations. So I hear an amazing conversation. I feel led to come on because I don't intend, or I don't feel like I can gain the trust of the people if I don't concern myself with them and just their money. It is my goal, right, to invest with all Black people and for all Black people to invest in my ideas and my perspectives. But at the same time, it is my part of my purpose to draw people to God. That being said, when I hear people say, um, why do men not go to church? And I hear these brothers having a good conversation, talking about something profound. I think it's probably a podcast that I'm going to have with some people. Okay, probably one of the podcasts we'll have. But I'll give some of the statements that they made. One of the statements was about money. Okay, uh, a long time ago, I would hear people talk about pastors like T.D. Jakes and other pastors about their money. And I was around at a time, and early enough, when T.D. Jakes was blessing people so much in their own lives that people were just giving him stuff. They were giving him land, money, cars, right? And look, I understand that. I mean, if somebody is blessing you, you want to give. Um, but there's something that comes with that. When you don't recognize not the flaws, but the ability to be flawed in a man versus the perfection of God, then you stop listening for God's voice and start more listening for what the pastor had to say. What is the next lesson? What is going to motivate? Or pastor said this. I believe that a lot of what's not working in people who call themselves Christian or people who know God, I think a lot of the things that they think should happen aren't happening because they're really not coming from God. They're coming from a man. Not a man that God is using, but a man, right? And so the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think these guys had some good points. They said that, first of all, men don't go to church because it's all about them. It's about the pastor's ego, and that people are simply worshiping the pastor. And I agree with that. I don't even think people know they're worshiping the pastor. It's sort of like the Pope. It's sort of like all these different things. It's sort of like Donald Trump. It's sort of like a lot of different things. People don't know they're worshiping him, but they are. If you're worshiping the attributes that are in a man and not in God, and what I mean by that, the ones God has shown you, then you're worshiping a man. The other thing I would say is this. They said that most men see through pastors' veils. And can I tell y'all something? Do you know why pastors or people in the church divorce at the same rate or worse than people who aren't in church? Because the pastor insulates himself with women. See, y'all don't notice it, but the pastor insulates himself with women. And so when this brother said this, and this is something that I have said for years, I was like, okay, this is a podcast I can listen to. You know, it's not preeminent. It's not a famous podcast. It's just two or three guys, right? Just like my podcast, us just talking. Even though my podcast is about growth and my podcast is about commercial real estate and development with Black people, it's still about positivity and drawing you to God. That being said, what happens is men question each other more. Men are more direct with other men. Okay? When a woman gets tied to something, she gets emotionally tied to it. So when a woman is emotionally tied to a pastor, you can't tell her anything. But what you guys don't realize is that pastor knows that. He knows that. And he uses it to his benefit. And ladies, you have to be careful. But my point, I don't want to get off the point. One of the and I need all the women to hear this. One of the main reasons men stop going to church is because a man can see when his woman likes another man. A man can see when his woman likes another man. Men are stupid. And what happens, and this is something that's not even being said in the household, because when the man says it, the woman dismisses it because she's like, no, I don't love the pastor. That's my pastor. And the Bible says I got it. And the man sitting up there like, girl, you stupid. You giving this man all our money. You giving this man love that I should have, that's for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the woman, when something feels right to a woman, that's the wrong word. Excuse me. When something feels good to a woman, they will sacrifice everything in the world that's theirs for that feeling. And a lot of women feel good when the pastor shows them favor. That's why the pastor ends up, and again, I'm going to say this one more time. There is nothing more disgusting to a man as to see his woman disrespect him for another man. I don't give a darn what his title is. The Pope, the president, pastor, a man doesn't care about that. It is never the woman's obligation to align herself over anybody over their husband. I'm going to say this again so you young women can hear it. There is never anyone, including your father, that should be more entitled to you and what you have than your husband. Deborah, please get your silly ass off my line. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about women. So I know Deborah's not anybody's woman because she can't be accountable just in state. I don't need to fucking tell me that. We're not talking about men. We're talking about how women worship pastors. Men don't worship pastors. So please get your ass off my line. Please, thank you. The point is this. When there's a relationship between a man and a woman, and they go to church together, a woman is a woman and a man is a man. But the moment a man sees his woman straight, like, okay, we're giving all this man, a man looks at things logically. Like, don't give our money away to that man. I give it to you to take care of the house and take care of yourself. Don't give our money to that man. The woman immediately says, well, I'm giving this to God. No, you heard the pastor say that. But I'm your husband. This isn't even about the money. When you women hear that, remember this. Your husband isn't telling you that for himself. He's telling you that for you. He's telling you that for you. I'm going to say this. Let me say this. Any woman that loves their pastor, and don't lie to yourself, Because if you're lying to yourself, you're always going to lose. There's a habit of people that go to church. They may not lie to people, but they lie to themselves. And ladies, when you lie to yourself and say, well, I don't really love my pastor. Okay, let me ask you a question. If your pastor called you right now, would you go? Ladies, anybody listen to me, be honest with yourself. If your pastor calls you right now and say, I need you right now, would you go? There are some of you that if your husband or your children call you, and when if you were in certain positions, you wouldn't go. But if your pastor calls you, you feel the need, you have to go. That's wrong. I'm telling every woman that's listening to me, that is not right. You're not serving God, you're serving that man. And the only person that a woman is supposed to serve is their man. That's it. I don't give a fuck what book you read that say anything different. I don't care. Because what you're saying don't make any sense. The only man that would really, let me ask you a question. Do any of you really believe that the pastor would do something for you? That the pastor would give you his kidney? That the pastor would give you his life? Will give his life for you? No, your husband would. But you sitting up there worshiping a man in front of your man. And then here's what works. There's nothing worse than a woman lying to you about not worshiping somebody, or not being attracted to somebody, or not liking somebody. Oh, I don't like them. I don't. Quit lying.